can start talking now if you want.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate you.
Oh, absolutely, man. No, I seen you doing it. I was like, that's super cool. Like, I like the realness, like the rawness of it. Like, that's dope.
Heck yeah, dude. Yeah, I think like something about like being just authentic or like super genuine is like, I don't know, it just feels right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not like overly produced or nothing. It's just kind of like, it is what it is. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna switch this real quick. I'll get more light on there right now. One sec. You want like that or
Cool. Yeah, I think that's
we're
better.
good? Sweet.
Awesome. Thanks.
How's the picture? How's the image? Is it cool?
Yeah, it's fine. It's a little like fuzzy with there's like a little bright spot on the bottom right of my screen. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, dude, it doesn't have to be like perfect, but yeah.
Sweet.
I dig it.
Cool.
How you doing though, like in during this season?
I've been good, man. Just trying to stay healthy, stay sane. I
Yeah.
think everybody's kind of tripping, but I'm enjoying it. Nothing's really. I don't want to be that guy, but nothing's really changing for me, to be honest.
Yeah, how are you being healthy?
Just washing my hands, man. Like that's literally it. Just everybody's wearing gloves and stuff, but to me, it's like to just wash your hands, like you'll be straight.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's just like, and that seems like something that we should just all be like practicing anyways, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's just super simple and it's so effective.
Yeah, like all the memes. It's like, dude, I don't know what you guys have been doing this whole time. Like all of a sudden, like I was like, well, it's a good thing we're not shaking hands, bro, because I mean, we got no toilet paper. Fools are barely starting to wash their hands. Like it's rough. It's rough out here, G.
Yeah, dude, that's something that I really liked about Japan. Like, you don't shake hands over there, you bow. So it's like when you say what's up to everybody, it's just like a little head nod.
Oh, that's dope. They do that. They do that over here too. It's not Japan, but it's the hood. You know what I mean? You
Oh
walk
yeah.
by like, and depending, like if it's one of these, it's like what's up. But if it's one of these, you're in
Oh.
trouble. You know what I mean? That's crazy. No, I think this virus thing is getting ready to blow over. I don't know if you've seen Kenneth Copeland, but he fixed it for us, bro. We're good. Did you
Oh,
see
cool.
that?
No, dude.
No, no. Kenneth Copeland, he's this crazy like televangelist preacher, and he did. I'll send you the link later on, but he was saying this prayer, and he's like, "I blow the wind of God on you." Like it was crazy. I was like,
Wow.
bro, you're doing way too much. Like he was like, I counsel you and all this stuff. I'm like, nah, bro. Like the counsel work. Like this
I
thing's real, man. It was
don't know,
wild.
dude. I think there's like miracle healings happening all over.
And man, to me, I think it's cool. Like for sure. I mean, I've been healed like miraculously.
Wow.
For me, I give God glory for that. But I just think there's like that line where like you're overdoing it. You know what I mean? And there's like a lot of things that are just kind of phony. But
Oh, I feel you.
I think it's up to each person to draw that line. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sometimes it may seem like a show, like a charade or something like that. I don't know if that's the right
Yeah,
word,
man.
but yeah. So what is that's good to hear that, dude. You're not letting this affect you the way it seems to be affecting other people. Like you're still like staying strong, like going hard, like doing your thing. That's what's up. I'm like in the similar boat, just like making the best out of anything, like whatever, regardless of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's super cool, man. That's so what's up with you? Like how have you what are some things you've been getting? Are there things that you picked up like during this time or are you just kind of like
Oh
same was
yeah,
it like same speed or how's it going for you?
dude is like is I feel like it's making me more efficient. Like I spend less time driving to work. I mean, I'm grateful that I'm able to like I'm healthy enough to work and that I still have work right now. So like that's like just like a super plus. Like I'm still working and I'm not like wasting time and money on gas like driving around. So that's cool. And then like I've been definitely like meditating a lot more. So I don't know, it's just good. And then like cooking for myself, like not, like it's like a reclusive kind of time that I'm really like just like developing myself in a bunch of different ways, like a lot of physical fitness, like working out. I did 100 burpees today, dude.
Damn,
Heck
my
yeah.
boy's getting it in over there.
That's right. I mean,
That's
but
sick.
yeah. I remember back in the day, I used to be super into like prison documentaries, and
Oh,
and it was like super inspiring to me to like, it inspired me to read a bunch and then just to work out in my room a bunch.
this was hardcore. That's sick, dude. That's sick.
Oh yeah, dude. So like what's going on musically with you though? Like I see you got like a little like your audio station back there, right? Is that like your studio? Oh, I can't hear you.
Oh, there we
Oh, there
go.
you go. Yeah.
Let me see if I can get like I got like I was trying to get this interface going, but it's kind of bugging out on me. But yeah, I got a little setup. But this is where the magic happens, man. I got my boards in here and stuff. But
Heck yeah.
yeah, man, it's been cool. So I play in a reggae band. It's like an R&B reggae band. I'm the front man for that. I write most of the music, and I'm the front man. I sing all the songs and stuff. And um, so basically, we took this time. We were looking at getting ready like to tour, and so I was getting into like booking venues and all that. And like we had a successful year last year, so I was like, okay, now I'm ready to like do it for real. And then everything happened, and I was like, oh no. So really, it was cool though because we shifted the energy of like, okay, how do we like
Oh, tight.
expand and we had been working on our album, and so now like that's what we're just doing recording. Like, that's all we're doing. So it's been cool, man. Like we're literally like writing. As far as off the one goes, we're writing like songs. I would say every other day, if not every day. Like so, that's
Yeah.
been cool, man. Like and good joints too, if I could say that. Like good joints too. So I'm excited to see
Heck yeah,
um,
dude.
some of that stuff come out. But that's off the one, and then I'm working on a solo EP right now, which is also like it's like R&B reggae, but I'm calling it like island, like trap soul. Like it's kind of it's crazy, man. It's like a lot of fusion. So I'll send you some stuff later on so you can check it out. Let me know what you think.
All right, dude. Thanks.
Yeah, man, it'd be good. It's always good to get input. But so I'm doing that, and then I started a like an artist development company with my girlfriend. And so,
Wow.
yeah, dude. So she shoots and like she has a media game like on lock. So she's been behind the scenes like doing all the visuals for like my band. So we're like, hey, we do this for us for fun. Like, what if we go into business together? And so we've been kind of building that. And so there's three artists right now that I'm producing for. I'm doing songwriting and producing the majority of the music. So I'm working on like three EPs for those artists, and then we're working on singles. So it's a lot, man. I'm just like boom, 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 and it's kind of funny because like when you have a lot of things going on, like it's hard to. For me, I'm very like scatterbrained and like creative, and I like to do things like off the cuff. You know what I mean? Just like sporadically. And I actually learned this from you. I don't think I ever told you this, but one day we were I forget why, but we were in Oxnard. You and I were in the studio together, and there's a couple of guys there, and you were like, you had this notebook and you were going crazy, dude. You were writing like just writing, and I was like, what the heck? And I was like, I can never do that, like ever. And then this year, no, I say like last year, like towards the end of last year, like I picked it up, bro. And so I've been living by that whiteboard right there, man. Dude, it's a game changer. Like I was
Heck
telling
yeah.
everybody I talked to, I'm like, dude, it's like everything floating in your head. Like you just put it down and you don't have to think about it. It's just like it's there. You get home, right what you got to get to work on. And so I've been really like feeling myself, like you were saying, like the growth as far as like productivity and organization. Like I've been feeling that lately, and yeah, man, like writing things down has been a game changer for me for sure. But yeah, it's just been that, man, a whole bunch of music, man. Like some R&B, like trap stuff too. So it's pretty cool, man. I'm just all over the place.
I dig it, dude. What kinds of artists are you doing? Like are they the artists you have are also like reggae, like hip hop things or R&B?
No, um, no, it's more like alternative R&B, I would say, kind of like on the side of like bedroom pop though. Like it's cool, kind of like this new wave. I don't know if you ever heard of Ryan Beatty, but he's dope. I'll send you some links. He's dope. But it kind of like that wave. It's kind of like a new stuff that these kids are into, man. Like I'm really it's wavy, so I'm feeling it, man. Like so between that and then I got a construction company too. You see, I got the paint on me, so I'm just everywhere, bro. So like I've been living by list lately, so it's been cool, man. But yeah, and then that kid, he's also a rapper, so it's like rap R&B type thing. It's cool.
Awesome. That's what's up, dude. I'm interested to hear about your creative process. So, like, what kinds of stuff are you like writing down on the whiteboard, or like how does Off the One like make a song together?
Oh, for sure. So like today, we just wrote one. Like I probably finished the bridge like maybe 7 minutes before we started. Like it was just all in my head. So so when it comes to the whiteboard, like I just write down like the tasks that I need to do. So I'm like, okay, when I get home, I'm mixing records X, Y, and Z, or like I gotta bounce out these files to this musician or whatever. Like it's more practical things. But my writing style has really changed over the course of I would say like the last 4 years. And so I went from like writing things down to like, okay, if the melody is catchy and if the lyrics are impactful, I shouldn't forget it. So and then I was into like Jay Z. So I don't know if you know Jay Z. He's known for like freestyling a lot of his stuff, and so that's kind of more like the approach I'm taking. Not freestyling though, just to clarify. I'm just like I'll sing a line over and over, and if it sticks, I'll throw it out the wall, and if it sticks, then I keep it. And if not, sometimes I record it on my phone, sometimes I don't. Like I try to just challenge myself like that. Like you need to write something hooky, something catchy, and if not, then that's it. So that's like my process, honestly. So like Gilbert, my guitarist, he'll send over kind of like a rough composition, and then I'll kind of catch a vibe off that, and then I go into my melodies. I start doing melody work, and then I'll get into lyricism. And sometimes the lyricism comes before the melodies. It kind of it differs. I mean, I'm sure you know as a writer, sometimes it's this and it's that. It's never really one process, but for sure, I think the thing that's consistent is that I try and make sure that these melodies and these lyrics they stick. That's kind of my thing. And it's all in here, man.
I dig it, dude. Yeah, that's what's up. Is it's cool, like just how like the song like comes together. Like you said, it could either be like music first or lyrics first and then music first. It's pretty awesome. As I dig that you're like open to it all.
Yeah, man, it's kind of like however it goes. There's times where I'll be sitting down because I also write for other artists. So I
Yeah.
write for a couple reggae artists, and then I write for a country artist. And this country artist, he he's a decent lyricist, but he's like, hey, I need help with melodies, and I'm like, okay. So throughout the week, he'll send me like links, like, oh, this Kane Brown record, like check out this Thomas Rhett record or whatever. And it's kind of like that radio, like pop country type thing, and I love that stuff, man. It sells. So yeah, he'll send over like links like that, and then I come in and he kind of has like this rough idea, like lyrically, it's basically a poem, and then I have to give it life. And so those are kind of I enjoy those sessions because it's kind of like throw something at me, and I'm gonna respond with something, and it's kind of like the more tools you give me to work with, like it's just it's gonna be a better piece, I think. And I think as a writer, you kind of have to get outside of yourself, and so the more outside influences, I think the better, especially if you're getting into different genres. Like you don't want to sound like, you're doing reggae on a country record, you know what I mean? So like you kind of have to have that versatility and that open mindedness for sure.
That's a cool process. You and the country artist, like you like there's two strengths like coming together to like fill in like his like the weakness or whatever, like and figuring out the melodies. That's what's up, dude.
Yeah, man, his voice is insane. Like that dude I can never do what he does. And then at the same time, I mean, he just where he's at. I'm sure if he worked at it, he could, but he can't do what I do. So we kind of complement each other, and that's one thing that's really um, probably like one of the best things you can do in a studio setting or in a creative setting is lay down your ego and just
Yeah.
and that's just let it go. You know what I mean? And just kind of like, hey, what I do is what I do. What you do is what you do. There's a mutual respect. Let's get somewhere together. You know what I mean? That's definitely the way you're gonna move forward for sure.
Heck yeah, dude. That's super powerful. Like just understanding that maybe like whatever you're attached to may not be the best thing for the project in the whole, and then like it's like important for like it's like magic happens when two people create that thing, or you know what I mean, like a group creates that thing and everybody adds their little spice to it. It's like because like they like I don't know, like you and I would make a song that would sound totally different than if just I made a song or if just you made a song. It's like a yeah, it's definitely like a different kind of magic.
Yeah, man. More minds for sure, man. Like the more minds you have, the better. You can never go wrong. And then I don't know like how familiar you are with like vocal harmony, but like when you're harmonizing, when those notes are perfectly placed, like let's say it's like a three part. You have your tenor, alto, soprano, and you hear it played back. There's actually another note that you'll hear in there that nobody is singing, but it's that note is sonically formed because these three parts are they're doing their own part, and so the sound as a whole, like, and I don't just mean like oh hearing three voices. I mean like there's another note in there that's kind of like a ghost note, but if you listen, it's there. But you know, if you play it back individually, you won't hear it. And to me, that's really synonymous of like you know coming together creatively and like let's put this puzzle together as tightly as we can. Like you don't need to reach outside of your boundary. Like just come as you are and come with what you have to offer, and it's gonna be all right, you know. And so there's definitely power in that, man, and letting go of those egos for sure.
How do you do that? Like how do you let go of your ego?
Ooh, that's good. Well, so for that, I would say, it's funny. I had this conversation yesterday. I would say you have to want the end goal, like the success for the entire project more than you want your own personal success. Like that's what that has to be. Because if you don't have that, you're not gonna let go of your ego. Like you already showed up with an agenda, you know what I mean? You pull up to the stew and you're like, I gotta impress everybody. And that's not what it is. Like there's sessions where I get paid to just sit there quietly. And it's like, you know, we're 4 hours deep. I haven't said anything. Like, like when you haven't talked for a while, so your breath starts to stink, you know what I mean? You're like, oh, and like it'll be like that, man. I'm sitting there like, what do you think, Gabe? And I'm like, well, I think we could shorten the bridge, get back to the hook, and that's it. That's my input, and then and then hopefully the the writers are willing to listen. If not, that's fine. But and then they make the adjustment, and then that's what it is. There's times where I've written stuff that I think is like this is the greatest thing ever, and I show up and they're like, no, this is not it, and I'm like, okay, fine, I'm not hurt, but you just have to. But at the end of the day, like I'll joke about it, but I'm really not though. Like that's fine. And working with these other artists, what I've done is like because like I think there is in reality there's probably about 4 or 5 projects that I'm working on right now. One's an album, 4 EPs. Oh, it's around 6 actually. Anyway, a bunch of different projects. And so what I've been doing lately is like, oh, okay, I'll send a beat over. And they're like, hey, like I want something more wavy. And I'm like, okay. Or like I want something, more whatever, more poppy. I'm like, okay. And so what I've been doing is like, okay, if you don't like this, and if I like it, if I'm somewhat married to the idea, then I'll keep it for one of my projects. And then so it's kind of been cool. So I've been recycling a lot of music, like things that kind of gets thrown. I'll kind of keep it, or sometimes I'll have a folder and I'll visit that folder and like, okay, like these are ideas that are like orphans, they need a home. Like let's check it out. So I'll just scroll through and I'm like, okay, this is cool. Like this could be something. And some of the hits, man, that we've like, I mean, hits like not critically acclaimed or nothing, but some, I mean, they're bangers if you ask me. That I've done with other artists. They should be releasing probably like around the end of this year, early next year. Bangers though, man. Like some of the work that I'm most proud of has come from those orphan folders, man. And it's like those files that just I had to, yeah, you like that orphan folders. I just had to like sit on them, you know what I mean, and just see, come back to it later on with some fresh ears. And okay, sometimes you just gotta fix the mix, you know what I mean. If I lower this instrument, it changes the dynamic, you know what I mean. Just little things like that. But yeah, man, that's so. Anyway, I don't know how I got here, but all that to say, I think it comes down to awareness. You know what I'm saying? Like being aware, okay, what is the goal? Be aware of the goal and then be aware of your strengths. And I think that's even the other day you and Jerry were talking about leadership, and that was super cool. I tuned in for that one. And I think that's one of the most important things you can do because sometimes a leader actually has to take a back seat. And that's the best way he can lead, you know what I'm saying? And so that's where awareness comes in. And it's like just know your strengths and then know your weaknesses. Like don't be afraid of that. Like for me, I'm not ashamed of it. Like I'm not the best musician. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not a piano virtuoso. I mean, it's just not that, you know what I mean? But I can write songs for days. And so I have melodies for days. Like it's just kind of, it's a give and take. Not everybody has everything, you know what I mean? And nobody has nothing, you know what I mean? And so there has to be a mutual respect because without me, there's no you, but without you, there's no me. And so you go in with that, and that's easy to lay down your ego because you understand like this product is not going to be finished and it's not going to be the best it can be unless we come together.
Yeah, dude, that's super important. Like one example that I can think of is when I was recording a verse for Plan Your Escape, and like we recorded two versions of it, and one of the versions was like super dynamic and like something that like just I was like really like proud of and that I really loved, and then there was another version that was less dynamic, but this one like fit into the song better overall. So like they're like I like both of them, but you know I like this one had that little like something that I was like proud of, if that makes sense. So there was just that like what I had to do was like ask everyone in the group like, okay, so like what do y'all think about it? And then so they're like, oh yeah, let's use this one, and I'm like, all right. So like that's how I did it, like getting the like hearing everybody's input and then just like going with the group decision instead of whatever I feel my decision is, because like that's part of the that's part of how like things get done and like greatness happens. It's like I have to listen to these other great musicians around me to like have their input, and it's not like how like you said, like I'm not the best musician ever. So like dude.
Yeah. No, that's dope. And which one did they pick? Did they pick the one with the chops, or did they pick the simpler one?
Yeah, the simpler one, like the less dynamic one, like the one that I wouldn't put on a song if it was just me. If that makes
Mm,
sense.
for sure. And I think, man, as a musician, like we have the tendency to like, oh, I'm gonna flex my chops. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna do it to them. But like, and that's one thing I think moving because I realized my strength. Okay, I'm not the best musician, and so I moved over to like, I mean, not because I wanted to be the best at something. I just kind of was like, okay, these aren't my strengths. The instruments that I do play, I taught myself, and there's a lot of things I need to unlearn. And I think one day I'm gonna do that, but it's not today. So I ended up coming over to like the side of a producer, and I got into producing music, and dude, that's been great. But um, just having that understanding, like now with the producer hat on, it's like you're always going to lean toward the more pocket parts because that's what makes a song. And I always say this, like when I'm trying to communicate to a musician, is like, dude, best supporting actor. Like that's what you are. You're the best supporting actor. So I know you can lick. I know you're John Mayer on the guitar. I know you can do it, but it doesn't. It's not about that. It's like I'm more impressed with what you don't play. You know what I'm saying? Like the strength to like I could kill you. I can melt your face right now, but I'm just gonna lay back. Like I always tell, I was like, bro, it's like, man, you guys don't pay me enough for me to shred on you, so I'm just gonna, you know what I mean? Like, and it's almost like just relax and just, you know what I mean, just groove. That's my thing. Like groove over chops all day. Feel over chops. You know what I mean? Like that's every time that battle is gonna be won by feel and by groove. You know, I'm not. I don't need a drum solo every time. You know what I mean? I like those pocket grooves, and so yeah, that's kind of the less is more, man, when it comes to music for sure.
That's super valuable. That's that's something that I've also like learned recently. Like I was recording a bass line for something that my homie Luis, like he wrote like a drum track, and so I'm just like shredding, you know what I mean, just like having like the best time with it. And then at the end of it he's like, okay, that was dope, but can you just play like do, and I'm like, yeah dude, I got you. Like so but then at the end of the day like we use like bits of both of them, you know what I mean, so it's like it's not like all that like went to waste or whatever. But it's yeah, it's interesting like how like I it's like how important it is to like to just have make it feel good instead of like what feels good for the song instead of just what feels good for me.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. And that's just knowing like, hey, it's kind of all hands on deck, and we're creating this thing together. So feel free to just
Right.
not like you're doing the bare minimum, but it's just like all the puzzle needs is just your piece. It doesn't need any more than that. And so that's kind of the best way I can explain that. And I find myself having to explain that a lot of times, being in the studio. And man, yeah, there's been some times when I'm arguing with people and like where I wanna stand my ground. And usually it's that. It's never like, oh, I need more solo and I need more chops. It's like, nah, bro, you just gotta lay back, like dial it back. And that's the beauty of it, man. Like really less is more for sure.
Yeah, dude. Is there anything you want to talk about? This is pretty laid
um,
back.
yeah, I like it. I like it. I'm feeling it. I actually want to ask you something.
Go for it.
As far as like let me see. All right. I guess kind of dealing with the situation at hand, right? It's kind of like the elephant in the room, I guess, kind of in every conversation. But um, lately, I find myself kind of gravitating back toward like my faith. Not that I left it, but just so for you, where does that like does that play into your music like at all? Does your faith play in your music at all? And how so? And then has anything changed during this time? Like is it more? Is it what I mean? Like how are you leaning more towards like pushing positivity? Like how's that going for you?
Oh yeah, dude, thanks for these questions. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, like it's definitely like first of all, like just music in general in my life is musical is like a spiritual act for me. Like it's definitely like a spiritual experience. So like having like just like having that kind of like in the background, like in my programming, it just makes it like super special. And as far as like what is helping me like through this to keep like a positive mind state and just like the best state of mind I can have is like singing these worship songs with these like very special messages and these like powerful like dude like supernatural like power like that we have just out of the tip of our tongue literally like we can like speak and sing like beautiful things into our lives. So that's what's like definitely something that I'm grounded in. And then the other thing that like as far as like creativity right now I've mostly been like focusing on like these podcasts for at least the past like couple weeks. So but at the same time I feel like all this experience that I'm doing just like talking with a bunch of like really cool people and like very like skilled and talented people is gonna like build some momentum into something really beautiful musically. So there's that. And then like what as far as like my faith right now, one thing that I do that's a really healthy practice is when I wake up, like the first thought I always like do my best to have is just to like thank God that I woke up and to be grateful for my breath. Cause like when we wake up, you're in a super impressionable state. Like you're like still in that dream mode kind of. So you can that's one of the best times to program yourself. It's also dangerous because you could program yourself like in a toxic way. So that's yeah, dude, seriously. So that's a you can like take control of that part of your life and like wake up and start yourself in gratitude. So that's what I do. And then I always like I read like a daily devotional as early as I can. Like usually like after I like go pee, I'll just like read this book. And there's like a couple Bible verses in there and then like a little short message that is like cool. It's like it also like synchronizes sometimes, like experiencing synchronicities with what's going on in today's date and then like what events happening today. So yeah, dude, that's what's going on right now. And then just like taking a lot of notes and stuff because I think that's these like every idea that I catch, it's like a seed that's being planted in my notebook, and then like it's gonna bear fruit that I can add to this like fruit salad when I make a song or something like that or whatever it is.
I thought fruit salad. I like that. No, that that synchronization is crazy, man, because it's a real thing. Like where stuff lines up. So I don't know. For me, like I'm definitely like a Jesus guy for sure. Like I'm not. That's not like I don't wear like a shirt that says John 3:16 every day. You know what I mean? Like I'm not out here like okay, but for sure though, I'm a Jesus guy, and I I don't know. I find myself because being kind of like in the secular music industry or whatever, kind of like rubbing shoulders with a lot of people that are like, oh well, maybe I don't believe this or that or whatever. I just say like, hey man, like whatever gets you through, man. Like what I mean. Whatever gets you through. Like if it's bringing fruit into your life, I'm not gonna knock it. You know what I mean. But for me, that thing that brings me fruit and that brings me safety, peace, just happens to be Jesus. And but the synchronization though, man, that's something that I mean, even my buddy, he plays guitar. He's actually the guitarist for our band. He's always like it's like serendipity and like so check this story out. I got a crazy story for you.
Go for it.
So we were looking for a drummer just because like I'll say like well let's call it creative differences, right? It's I'll say this, man. When you're leveling up, like you have a goal, like I want to be here. Like there's times where like you have to make sacrifices, and sometimes it's like if somebody is holding you back, like you just have to, you know what I mean? And so that's kind of where we found ourselves. So this is crazy, but me and Gilly, man, we're working, we're painting this house, and so we're like, dude, we need a drummer, like for sure, we need a drummer. And I hear someone like wailing, bro, like going in, like just ripping, and I'm like I'm tripping, like, and then I'll be honest, like we smoked like on our lunch break, so I'm like, bro, maybe like I'm tripping, like, but I can hear someone just killing it in the back of my head, and then I look at him and I'm like, bro, do you hear that? He's like, I hear that, and so like 2 hours, man, and they're jamming, and you can tell like they're not just like jamming, but they're actually they're practicing something, you know what I mean? And like it was like this intricate like groove, and they were like tightening it up, and I could just hear it getting better and better. And I was like, Jesus. And so I tell him, I go, bro, if if they're still playing in 30 minutes, like we're gonna go and take a break and go scope that out. And he was like, all right, let's do it. So we go and they're still playing, and we're literally driving through the street, through the cuts, bro, just driving like I think it's this house. Is it the garage? Like we're outside, we were just like lurking, bro. We were lurking. And so we get to this house, we're like, oh, this is it for sure. I'm about to knock on the door. And then I'm like, it's behind me. I turn around, there's a park. So we drive to the park. Bro, man's had a DW kit set up against the backstop of this baseball field. And he was just going in. I was like, no way. So we started cutting it up, and he's like, yeah, and he's a gospel musician. So I mean, needless to say, he had chops, man. He was a brother, you know what I'm saying? So he was like, the boy was going in. Then I was like, dude, that's what's up. So we started cutting it up, and he was like, hey, yeah, like he goes, I just moved here from Chicago. He's like, and I've been praying. He goes, I've been praying that God will bring somebody because I want a gig. And I was like, no way. So I look at my guitar buddy, and he's like, and he doesn't really necessarily believe in God. And he was like, what the heck? And then so it turns out this dude like grew up in church. So we start talking about God. We start talking about gospel music and like influences and things like that. And he's just like, whoa. And my guitar buddy's like, he's like, I need a couple of days to process what just happened. He's like, but man, I'll just say it was serendipitous to say the least. And then, just just little things like that, man. I think they're big things for him. He kind of like you can see him start like his eyes start to open. I'm like preaching at these cats all the time, but you see their eyes start to open and stuff, and it's cool. But so we ended up telling dude like, hey, we're playing Discovery in Ventura like 2 days, like pull up. And so he pulled up to the show, so we put him on the guest list. We're like, dude, what's up? So he saw us play, and then so now he's our drummer. He's our touring drummer. So it was cool, man. Yeah, the little stuff like that. Like I just feel like God, he puts it together, and I don't believe in like lazy faith. I believe like, you have to go and like you got to put work in. You know what I'm saying? Like for sure. I like the scripture that says, though another man plants and another man waters, like God brings the increase. So I feel like, definitely I keep that in mind. Like I know that everything I have is provided by God, but there's some things that like I just have to work my ass off for, and I will. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you look at even like, and I have this conversation all the time because some people are like, oh, well, you're blessed, and he did everything for you, and he died on the cross, and like I believe that, but I just think there's times you got to get to work, and if you look at all the people that Jesus selected, like his followers, I mean, they're fishers, carpenters, right? Like they were working. Some of them were one dude was like a tax collector. He was like in the office. You know what I mean? Like, well, all these cats are in the cut though. No one was like chilling. You know what I mean? Like they were all grinding, and so I don't know. I think to me that's admirable. Like you gotta want it, And so I wanted it, man. I pulled up. I found a drummer. That was crazy. But definitely that synchronization you're talking about, man, for sure.
Yeah, dude. Seek and you shall find, and ask and you shall receive. I have that posted on my bathroom.
That's it, man. That's it. I tell a lot of cats, man, like this, that's what works for me, man. I don't know. And then I find myself lately like not having to like I hate people say like, oh, you gotta defend your faith. Like no, to me that's like you have to defend who you are. I don't feel like who I am is constantly under attack. I don't. It's like this is who I am. This is what I believe, and like I don't have to yell it from the street corner, but I know who I am. I know I'm solid. But I don't know if you know this, but I actually when I was younger, I was studying to become a pastor, and so for like a minute, man. From the time I was like, I think from the time I was like maybe like 13, to the time I was like 21, probably. Like I wanted to be a pastor, and so I dedicated my life to that. And I ended up getting into like a bunch of art schools and stuff, and I felt like God that's not what God had for me, and so I ended up, going to this. I went to like a ministry home, and we were all basically just young leaders, and we were, kind of seeking a not a career, but kind of seeking like a some want to be evangelists, some want to be pastors, and all that. Everybody was trying to be in leadership and stuff, and so that was my thing. And so I really got into like theology, and so I find some of the stuff that I learned, I thought I would never have to use it, but then later on, I started having these conversations with my friends, and they want to know like what's this and what's that. And so today, like I was on the phone with somebody, and they were like, "Well, if the book is 4,000 years old, 2,000 years old, or whatever, like how is it still, today, this and that? How is it still what's the word relevant today?" And I was just like, "Well, and I kind of was dancing around with him for a little bit, and then he was like, "Well, I don't believe you," and I was like, "That's fine." And yeah, I was just like, I mean, dude, like, I go, if you're looking for like a hole in what I'm telling you, like that hole is always going to be faith. Like there comes, you just have to, you have to believe. But he's like, well, I want evidence. And I was like, okay. So then we talked about Josephus, and Josephus was like, I don't know if you're familiar with the story of Josephus, but he was a Jew. He wasn't a Christian. And I believe he was a historian. So he would like document things, right? And so when Jesus died, this guy documented the life, the death, and resurrection of Jesus. And he had no agenda because, like I said, he wasn't a Christian or anything like that. And so that's one of the main texts that people will use, like when they're dealing with people who are like atheists or whatever. It's like, hey, this dude, man, said he was here, and it just kind of lines up. But then we start talking about the infallible truth, and I don't know if you ever heard of this, but the infallible truth is that like all the gospels, like Mark, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, like they all tell this story, and these guys lived actually in different times, and so it's kind of crazy that these stories line up when these guys didn't all know each other. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. They think that like, oh, the Bible was written by the disciples, and that's not necessarily true. It was different people. Like Luke was a doctor, he was a physician, right? And he was a doctor. So these people were educated. Some of these people were like, just ordinary, everyday working, hardworking people, and they still documented this stuff. But man, like, so the infallible truth is basically that the synoptic gospels, all these different cats that lived in different times, they said the story the same way. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, okay, like there's no way that, you know what I mean? Like there's you can't like if somebody gets caught for a crime, right, and they're interrogating somebody, the first thing they do is they separate everybody, and they're like, where were you on this night? You know what I mean? Next to, where were you on this night? What happened? And so when all these stories line up, it's like you have to wonder, like there's something there. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the infallible truth. I can send you a link on that later. But yeah, it's cool, man. Like there's a lot of cool stuff like that I've been getting into, kind of like digging back to my roots and stuff. And yeah, man, I'm just vibing out here though. You know what I mean? Making music and just talking faith, and because I think right now, like the most prominent thing is fear. You know what I'm saying? Like people are very fearful, and for me, that was kind of, I'm talking a lot, but I don't know if you can relate, but like for me, if you were to say like, what's the one thing? Some people it's like, oh, depression, anxiety. Like I've dealt with those things, but I think the biggest thing in my life was fear, and I realized one day, like, you know what, like I am good enough, and I shouldn't be afraid to pursue what I want. You know what I'm saying? And so when I overcame that, this switch kind of just like flipped in my brain, man, and it was almost like I was running on two cylinders. You know what I mean? But when I flipped that switch, it was like it was a V8, man, straight Hellcat, and I was just smashing through things. And I've been finding those like kind of like activating certain parts of your, I would say like your productivity, man. Like it's kind of like a spiritual thing, but it bleeds over into like the physical and the mental space and the emotional health in your life. And so like even like this whiteboard right here, man, like I was like, okay, I need to be organized. So these are my goals for the year. And dude, I knocked out the whole, like everything by March. I was like, what? Yeah, dude, that's how I felt. I was like, oh, and but it was crazy. I was like, okay, like we knocked out this project, wrote this song, I pitched this song to this big artist. I did, and it was like cool, like bam, 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 and I was just like, this is dope, and I think it's because I flipped that switch, like kind of like I think you were talking about I forget who you were talking to, but you were talking about reprogramming the way you think, and like those neurological pathways, and it's super true, man. Like you can, and so like by nature, I'm like messy. I'm kind of like disorganized, but I've been slowly like reprogramming myself to like, like get back to discipline, do this and do that. And I think a lot of people kind of chalk it up to like, oh, I'm left brain or I'm right brain, so I'm this way. But it's like, no, man, like you can break down those walls and you're a lot more capable than you think you are. You know what I mean? And so anyway, for me, what started all of that was like overcoming fear. So, and I think that's right now more than anything what the world needs to hear is like, hey man, like I know things are kind of uncertain right now, but there is hope, and that's kind of the message I'm trying to spread through all the music that I'm doing, man. Like, um, that there's hope. You know what I'm saying? That there's like, hey, this gets better. This is not how it's going to be. You know what I'm saying? Forever. But for you though, man, like what's kind of what's like a story of triumph for you, like as far as like overcoming maybe be it like an emotional, a mental, or like a physical obstacle. Like what's something that you're proud of?
Oh yeah, dude, that's really incredible. Like good job being able to overcome your fear. When like when like there's a specific turning point in my life where like I was super depressed, like I hated where I was working, like I was just like I hated living, and I eventually like got sick of being sick. Like I got tired of being tired. And so I literally like looked I had heard of a motivational speaker named Les Brown. And so I don't know, I had that floating around. So I like YouTubed Les Brown depression, and I started listening to this dude talk, and it just like it lit a fire inside of me, you know what I mean? So like that's one thing. And then the other thing was that movie The Secret. I don't know if you know The Secret. It's like the law of attraction.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with the law of attraction. I don't know about this secret though.
Yeah. So like those two things happened in a similar time, and it's just like that had me realize like, okay, so like you become your thoughts. Like your thoughts are things, and you can actually choose which ones you can like focus on, and whatever you focus on is going to grow. So I took a step back and I thought, oh, like for the past however many years I've been thinking like this toxic thing, or I've been thinking like this self-defeating thing, I've had this like limiting belief, and I saw all those things now, like my eyes were open, and I'm like, okay, well let me replace this with gratitude, let me replace this with like love, let me replace this with like joy. Like you can actually like generate the joy inside of you. It's not something that's out here. So that was like the big turning point for me. And then from there on, I just started like diving into self-help books, and I kept like listening to these motivational speakers like Les Brown and Jim Rohn and Tony Robbins, and like cats like that. So that was like the what like got me going, and I still like have a lot of those practices today. Like I'm always putting positive thoughts in my head. I'm always like reading positive books, like everything that's gonna serve me. And I'm also like very wary of all the things that I need to stay away from. Like I know what's gonna mess me up. I know like what's gonna make me sad and depressed or whatever it is. So that's like the other thing too. Like what like you have to be really aware of like what we consume in our ears, like what we like see, and like the people that we hang around with too. That's a big one. Like you become like who you surround yourself with. Yeah, dude.
That's it, man. I always say like, whatever you inhale, man, you're gonna exhale. That's just how it goes, and I definitely feel that like the people you hang around with. But I like that though, man. Like the law of attraction and manifestation, like, dude, it's super true, man. Like, I've come to find out it's very true. Like for me, I was kind of with I played with a group of dudes that they kind of I just always felt like I wasn't as good as them, you know what I mean? And they kind of like I wouldn't say they like kind of put me down. I would just say that they kind of definitely reaffirmed like those insecurities already, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't think they did it on purpose, I would hope not, I consider them to be my friends, but there were just a whole lot of like me just this insecurity going on with me. And like I said, flipping that switch or overcoming that fear. And I would see these bands. I'll go to shows and I'll be watching shows online, and there was dudes that I look up to. I'm like, man, these guys are. As I got into the reggae scene, I was like, man, these dudes are like insane, crazy musicians and people that I really like. I was like, I hope to meet them one day. Like, I can honestly say that now these are dudes that like I FaceTime like every other day. You know what I mean? Like, um, a couple guys, man, like just dudes that I would see on stage killing it. and now they're my friends, and like we're working on records together. Like it's wild, bro. And it's just like I kind of take a step back and I think about that kid who was jamming out to reggae, like watching Catch a Fire and stuff. And now, like one of the guys that I'm working with, my buddy Corey, he started with Catch a Fire. I mean, he kind of plays with everybody. It's a trip. It's just like it's gnarly, man, to see kind of things come full circle. And it's like whatever you, like you said, whatever you focus your mind on, like that's what's going to bear fruit. You know what I mean? And I think the reality of that kind of from my life, it kind of spilled over into other areas. And it was like, like my relationship, I'm going to focus on my relationship and I'm going to nurture and I'm gonna put care into that, and I've seen that flourish, man. Like I've experienced friendships grow, I've experienced love grow, and it's like, man, like this, like you were saying, we really do have power like that. You know what I mean? Like not Kenneth Copeland power to like, you know what I mean, like to like cancel out a virus. Like I don't believe all that, but I mean for sure, man. Like if you want to improve yourself, right? If you want to help yourself, you want to elevate your mind, like it for sure starts with you and the things that you're focused on. And so for me, man, that's what it all comes back to that dumb whiteboard. It's like these are what I'm focused on. And so it, like you said the other day, you gave me this visual and I haven't been able to get out of my head. You were talking with I think it was Jerry, and you were saying like your thoughts, it's kind of like that like if it would pop up like on a screen and you just kind of swipe away what you want, what you don't want. And that's I've been experiencing that, man. Like kind of like the insecurity pops up again. It's like, no, it's not that. You know what I mean? This pops up. No, you know what I mean? And yeah, I don't know, man. I really wish a lot of people around me would grasp it and just kind of learn, you know what I mean? Like, hey, you're not as helpless as you think. You know what I mean? Like the dream that you want is not as far as you think it is. It's actually way closer than you think.
Yeah, dude, there's a reason that we have the certain desires and aspirations that we have. Like it's like when we were like kids, like you know what I mean? It's so easy to believe that like we can do anything, and there's a reason for that. Like there's a reason why we're supposed to hold on to a certain like childlike nature throughout our entire life and like retain that certain kind of youth and then mix it with like this like the experience and the skills of like our adult bodies. So like that's like you know what I mean, there's like the dream and then you can definitely realize it with yeah, like we're just like focusing on like what thoughts that you want to grow.
That's a good way to put that. I like that because I like that a lot. Actually, I'm gonna have to listen to this back and write that down because I like that. I've since I was a kid, man, I've kind of upheld this like dream, like I want to be a songwriter and I want to write bangers. I want to go pop someday, and I want to like have hits out. You know what I mean? I want to get into different genres. But when I was like 9, 10, 11 years old, like I would call my mom had this piano because she used to play it, and it was like super out of tune, bro. And I knew like three and a half chords. You know what I mean? Like it was like key of C. You know what I mean? And so I would rearrange these 3 or 4 chords, like as much as I could, and write different stuff. And bro, like I kid you not, man, every day I would write and I would call my mom, and my mom would she probably got annoyed. But like every day I would call her, I came up with this melody, and she would listen to me, man, and I would show her, and like I was trash too, like vocally I was trash, and she would listen, man, and she kind of always watered that for me, and she was just like, you could do it, you could do it. And so now, I'm like a grown ass man, but I still have that dream. Like, this is what I want to do. And that hasn't changed. Like, for me, a perfect life, man, is like, marrying my lady and having kids and like being able to post up, bro. You know what I mean? Like, just be here, you know what I mean? Writing with and raise my kids, you know what I mean? Like be here. Like, I would love to work from home and just, of course I want to go out on tour and things like that. But like, when I think about like old man Gabe, it's that, you know what I mean? Still writing and just, man, but being a writer and when people have told me like, oh, you can't do it because of this and you got to pay bills and this and that, and it's like, you know what? Yeah, but I just feel like you said, you pick up experience, and I'm a contractor. I have I own a concrete cutting company, and then I'm also a painter. So like it's crazy because my dad is super like, he'll pop the balloon and it's like come back down to earth, like this is reality. And my mom was like, dude, dream. And then I seen kind of it's a trip because I seen them kind of like switch roles. It's crazy. I seen them like switch roles. And in my life, I feel like it made me like this crazy hustler, but also like this wild dreamer. And so with that, I've been able to like smash through goals, man. And it's been cool. Like I'm not where I want to be, But I think everybody who's driven and who's chasing a dream, I don't think they are. I think, they're constantly looking ahead. And so that's where I'm at, man. Just still trying to chase that dream, with like, just like, I like the way you said that with like your grown experience, right? And like, but still keeping in mind that dream. And I think that's the best thing you can do for yourself is like, and it keeps you young, man. Like, protecting that dream and not refusing to sacrifice. For me, I refuse to sacrifice it. Like I would, man, I would starve and write music. You know what I mean? Like it's fulfilling. You know what I mean? And I think success. I think the people that do become successful, I feel like what success is to them might be a little bit different to somebody else. Because for me, it's like I don't need to be rich. I don't need to have millions. I want to provide for my family and I want to be fulfilled. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. A really good definition of success that I heard is success is the continual progress of a worthy ideal. So as like you're always making steps towards like something that's worthy for you to achieve, but then at the same time like you're always making progress. Like you're never gonna there's not like one like specific like perfect picture. Like it's always kind of evolving. Like it's always growing with you and your skills. So yeah, I dig it, dude.
I like that. Yeah, for sure. I don't think when I was a kid, I was thinking about fulfillment. It was like, I want that. I'm trying to get that cheese. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be, I want, I want the Lambo. And then I grew up and I was like, maybe just the Maserati, And now I'm like, well, I'm just cool with, maybe like a classic car. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, but yeah, it's funny though. Success for sure does change. Your perspective on it changes as you grow. And I think with everything, your outlook on life will, through your experiences, they'll take shape and they'll start to form. But that's dope, man. Yeah, a lot of what you're saying, bro. Like I'm listening and I'm hearing you. And I'm like, oh, that's good. Take those tasty morsels, man. Those little just nuggets, bro. I like that.
Yeah, dude, that's what I fill my head with like every day, all day. I want to have all these like nuggets inside of me, like working for me, and then like it's just a giant, like it's kind of like I have like a huge recipe book, and then they all like make like the little tasty morsels just kind of like fall out of me, or you know what I mean? They kind of like burst around me or whatever.
Hey, that's dope. No, that's super dope. I was actually going over a record probably this morning around like 8 or 9, and there was we were so we're in the process right now off the one of like separating. Okay, this is album material and this is like just singles and these are throwaway tracks that we'll do for live shows. I mean they're still good, but, like we're trying to kind of like just it's kind of like a quality control thing at this point. And so we I don't know if I could say this, I don't know if I'll get in trouble, but no one's gonna watch this anyway, so I'll tell you. um nah, someone will. Well, we're talking about this concept, we're still talking about it, so it's not really decided yet, but um I wrote this song and it's called Tomorrow. And basically the hook is like, the chorus is like, every seed we plant today will feed the children tomorrow. And then I think the next line is something like, every tree we plant today will breathe on time that is borrowed. And so just the concept of like, because I forget where I was at. I was somewhere, man. And I heard this keynote speaker, and he kind of like he was wearing a suit, and it just seemed kind of out of pocket. But he was like, "Look, like whatever you do in your life, like if you don't do it for someone else or for the people that you're gonna leave behind, like it doesn't mean shit." And I was like, "Whoa!" And it just like flipped the switch for me. And since that day, I've never been able to think the same. And so, it's like that's really the concept that we're kind of trying to push out. So I'm pushing to name the album Tomorrow and have everything just kind of like, be on that tip, like spreading, because I feel like, yeah, like spreading positivity, peace, and love. Like, yeah, that's 100% what we do all the time, and it's dope. But it's like even more practical than that, like more, a little more in depth. Is like everything you do, just think, longevity, think like, and I feel like if we think like that, like as humanity, like, I'm not one of those like, oh, save the earth type cats, but I mean, at the same time, I'm not going to litter either, you know what I'm saying? Because I am thinking about like the world that I'll leave behind for my kids and for my kids' kids. And so, and I think, even when it comes to like wealth and prosperity, things like that, like you want to always play the long ball game. And so I just feel like, whatever you're doing, if you keep that in mind, like that for sure, what I mean, it's gonna, you can't lose, because although you might not see the fruit in your lifetime, like your children and the generation after you will eat from those fruits. And so it's like, what I mean, that seed that you have the power to put out, like you were saying, throwing out seeds, like if you're casting it in that direction, man, like, for sure, it's just gonna live forever. Those deeds you do will live forever. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I don't know. I'm feeling that whole seed illustration, man, for sure.
Do you like Nipsey Hussle?
So I'll be honest though, like when I was younger, I'm like a huge Drake fan. I'm just gonna say that. So, so I kind of was like leaning more towards pop because I like pop records. I like to write pop records, but I wasn't like a hardcore fan. I'm not gonna fake. Like all the hardcore fans came out of the woodwork, just like, oh, I was listening to Nipsey when I was like -2. You know what I mean? It's like, no, you weren't, bro. Like, I know you went and when he died, you know what I mean? You tuned all the stuff and all that. Rest in peace, though, man. He's one of the greatest. I enjoy his like perspective on leadership. Like, dude, I think he's one of the greatest minds, man, of like innovators, man, that we had. And music was cool, man. Honestly, I really like his delivery. I like the way his voice sounds. As far as like, there's not really songs that like stick out to me because, like I said, I was more like leaning towards the pop thing. But like, yeah, dude, like the whole Marathon album or Victory Lap album was crazy, bro. Like that whole album was like dope, and I almost feel like he almost knew like that was gonna be the last thing that he left, because it just has that. I don't know, man. It's just one of those things that'll live forever.
Yeah, dude. I didn't discover him until after he died. So, and then also at the same time, it's like I try not to like dive into something when it's super hyped. So like when all those fans came out of the woodwork, I was just kind of like, oh, okay, like this is kind of something to avoid right now. but
Yeah,
but
for
dude,
sure.
when one of the concepts that I really like from him is like his brand is like marathon. So that's like a metaphor for life. Like there's like a finish line, but it's a marathon. Like you're not gonna run a marathon in a single step. So like, and every day you take a step or two. You know what I'm saying? So it's that put like a lot my mind. It like helped focus my mind because I used to trip out on like, oh, I'm not where I'm supposed to be, and I know what I'm capable of, and I should be doing this, and I should be like here. But then when I heard like his concept, like what his brand marathon meant, I was like, oh, all right, like that makes a total sense, and it brought a lot of focus to what I was achieving. So that's something really dope that I dug about Nipsey. Yeah, I'm not too like into his music either, but like the messages in there are what like sells it to me. You know what I'm saying?
He has nuggets, bro. He has nuggets for sure. I feel like there's a select few, man, of like Drake. I think he's an outstanding artist. He creates crazy music, like super dope.
Oh
He,
yeah.
he owns this every time this guy drops. It's like, it just he lives on the charts. But as far as like these messages that are gonna last, like, I mean, really, I'm only thinking of a handful of artists that can do that. Drake's not one of them. Like Jay-Z, man. Like Jay, I love that 444 album. Like I listened to that, man, front to back, front to back. Just like and there's just so much wisdom and like game that you hear this guy. Like, it's a trip, man. Like I feel like a lot of times people will judge, like the book before they read it, and oh, he's about this and he's about that. And bro, there's a couple of verses where he's just talking about wealth, man, and longevity. And you're just like, oh, there's one I think he talks about a painting, and he's like, oh, if I buy this painting for $1 million and give it to my kids, you know what I mean? It'll be worth 8 million by the time he's talking about how the price doubles and this and that. And I'm like, dude, this is crazy. He's talking about real estate, like, I could have bought this, for 8 mil, and now it's 25 mil or 100 mil, something like that. I'm like, this is cool, man. Like, that's the kind of stuff people need to hear. Kids, that's what we need to hear. We don't need to hear about, pimping hoes and getting money and all that. Like, I mean, that's the fast money, but I mean, because not everybody's gonna blow up, man. Not everybody's gonna become a super famous rapper. It's not gonna happen. But so I feel like the guys that are really sowing that seed into the next generation are really leaving messages, and they're doing deeds that are gonna last forever, for sure. That's how I feel.
Heck yeah, dude. Something that like I really dig about Drake is like his like he's so like eclectic. Like it's like like you say, like it's pop music, but at the same time, it's like so different sometimes. Like you could sound like totally different, like on one track, and then like totally like super hard on one, and then like super like gentle and like I don't know like cartoonish on another one. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, he's versatile, man. He's definitely versatile. Another artist, I don't know if you're familiar with Tory Lanez, but dude, Tory Lanez on that same tip. It's like these dudes can put out these trap records that are like super crazy, like I'll kill your grandma and sell coke to like your baby nephew. You know what I mean? And then it's like, he has like these Caribbean like dance hall type like he does a remix to like Controlla and he's singing. He goes in like it's crazy. It's like it's this, it's that. Like and he can he embodies those things. He can embody like bars. You know what I mean? As a rapper, he can do the trap thing. He can do the pop thing, like the R&B thing, and that's yeah, man. And Drake, I feel like for sure, versatile like that. And I think he just kind of comes with like that awareness and not and kind of breaking down those like stereotypical like you have to be this way because your image or whatever. You know what I mean? I think you kind of have to let that go. I was watching an interview from Rap Radar. It was like an older one. He came out in like December on Drake, and you just honesty, man. When he's talking, he's very like down to earth, and it's kind of like I don't know, man. He's cool. He's definitely one of the greats. But yeah, man, that versatility that's something that I always strived for as well. Like I've been trying my hand at these trap records lately. And it's been fun, man. It's been going kind of cool. Mostly like production, but I mean, it's funny because I'll be going through files, and sometimes like when I misplace them, like I'll name them something because I always name my files like stupid stuff. Like one day, I was sending files to a buddy, and he was like, "Hey, I'm trying to find all your drum tracks. Like, where's the tambourine?" And I was like, I'm looking through the waves. I'm like, oh, and I named it Tamborghini Mercy, like just stupid, bro. Like, like dumb stuff. So I'm going through my files and like I'm expecting to hear like a trap record, and it's like a country song where I'm singing like in the low octave, like, and it's just like a demo that I'm gonna pitch to another artist, but it's crazy. So I think as a writer, like I always try to push for that versatility and like try new things. I've actually one of the artists that I'm working with, he's experienced. His name's Anthony. He's a talented youngster, and he's been thinking about experimenting kind of like that dance hall type thing. And so I've been producing some of that lately too, and it's been cool, man. Like just kind of trying my hand at different things. It's cool.
I dig it, dude. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Um, how long have we been going for? We've been over a minute, huh?
Yeah, it's probably like maybe like an hour and a half or something. I don't know. We can keep going if you want, dude. I don't care.
Time flies. Time flies, man.
Yeah, this is
No,
awesome. It's very stimulating.
I like it. I like it. Now, I think stimulating is a good word. I think there's a lot of people sitting at home right now, and so I guess I can wrap up with this. I feel like there's this overwhelming like sense of community in the world right now because we're kind of all in the same like well, I don't know the world, but for sure the United States, like we're all in this same kind of boat, right? And we're all just kind of sitting at home, and I've been pretty happy, man. It's, oh, you know what? Today someone left a note on my car. They're like, I hope you and your family are safe. Like, I was tripping out. Like after work, I was like, dang, this is crazy, and I'm digging it, But I think things like this are really important because you can't go nowhere. You know what I mean? Like everybody's posted, so it's like you're in your house, and it's like something like this kind of gives you a glimpse into another individual's mind, and in this case, it's another creative mind, and you're able to like, just I don't know. I feel like you're able to look at different perspectives and just kind of see where it weighs out. And honestly, like I feel right now, there's a lot of like introspective like work going on, and people are because they can't run from themselves. And I think for a minute I would run from myself, and then it took me running into a wall one day, and I was like, like I had to realize like there are some toxic traits in my life, and I realized like my grandpa was this way, and my dad was this way, like. I think if I really let things get out of hand, I could probably be a dick too. You know what I mean? Like there's some things I need to work on. And so, I just feel like the outcome of this is going to be good because anytime you're reflecting on yourself, there's going to be improvement, you're shooting for it or not. I don't want to look like that. I don't want to behave like that. I don't want to treat people like that. And so, I think, like you said, stimulating, for sure, and I'm hoping that it just pushes people toward like self betterment. people who maybe feel like they're afraid of, pursuing their dreams if it feels like too far off. I hope they know that hey, it's attainable. I'm nobody yet, man, but once this music starts dropping, I'm saying, I'm trying to blow up, bro. But you know what I mean. If it happens, it happens. If not, it's cool. But my thing, if I can leave, with one thing, it's that I want people who know me and who are around me to feel empowered, to know like you can do it, no matter what they told you, like you can do it. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I enjoy stuff like this and hearing other people, because I want to hear about their victories, and I want to know that I have victories coming my way too.
Heck yeah, dude. That's what's up. I'm gonna show you something. Watch, check this out.
So, that's sick.
See that whiteboard?
Yeah, super sick. Right over the keys too, huh? Just like your boy. Look at that.
Heck yeah, dude. Wow, it's another synchronicity, like just like the weird things that line up.
Yeah, man, for sure. I see you got the lights, getting the vibes right and stuff. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's super sick.
Thanks, Gabe. It was an honor to have you here. I love you very much, and I'm grateful to hear that you're like doing so well, and that you know what I mean. You're still grinding in all these different areas. Is there anything you want to let the people know, like where to find your music, where to find your band?
Oh, for sure. For right now, we have one track on YouTube. Oh, first, I got love for you too, bro. Thanks for having me. It's been super dope. But yeah, so we have one track. It's like a live version of a song called "Mermaid Lady." If you YouTube "Mermaid Lady" off the one, yeah, that's the only thing we have up right now. All this music, man, that I've been working on since I would say 13. I've been recording since I was like 13, man. So that's like 12 years. That's it's finally I'm finally gonna release, man, this year. So it'll be yeah, I'll definitely be posting on my Instagram and stuff. You know what I mean? Like once we start getting closer to release dates. But for sure, man, like this summer, I'm trying to drop this EP by the summer, man, and hopefully we could go somewhere. You know what I mean? Like hopefully we can get out of the house, because it'd be nice. Otherwise, you're gonna have to turn up at home. You know what I mean? That's cool too. But yeah, man, that's my solo. That's my solo EP, and then off the one we'll be dropping two sporadically this year. So yeah, man. But until then, bro, it's catch us on Instagram. You know what I mean? If you give us a follow on Instagram for sure. It's off the one music. I had to remember real quick. Off the one music on Instagram. But thanks for having me, Omar. I appreciate it,
Yeah,
brother.
dude. Awesome. Oh, I'd love to have you on again.
Yeah, it'd be my pleasure, man.
Yeah, dude. All right. I'll see you soon. Have a great night.
It's going to be easy.